Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Beach Woodcraft again. Today I'm going to tell you about the dust collection ductwork that I've been installing so we can put our new Harvey dust processor online. First I want to show you the tools of the trade for the duct system that I purchased, which is a spiral wound metal ducting made by Air Handling Systems. I'll put a link to their website in the description below. Air Handling Systems has some great prices on this spiral wound ductwork. The tools of the trade for this installation are pop rivet tool, steel pop rivets, of course a barking device. I had to use a little persuader a couple times, clear silicone caulk, and a drill to drill holes for the pop rivets. Also, there's a couple different ways to cut the ductwork if you need to cut the full-length pipe, which comes in 5-foot lengths. I chose to use a portaband saw, which in my opinion was much easier than trying to drill a hole and use a jigsaw with a metal blade, but that is of course an option. You can use a jigsaw to cut this if you want to. You would have to drill a hole and have a nice metal blade, obviously. But I found that this portable bandsaw is much quicker and much easier to get a straighter cut. Unfortunately, you can't get all the way through, especially on the larger diameter pipe, but you keep working your way around. The cuts aren't going to be perfect. You'll have to deburr everything. I went off on that one pretty well. But like I said, silicone. So that makes quick work of your cut. So I'd like to tell you about a few of the things that I learned along the way. The first of which is that in their process of forming the duct and probably making those spirals and the seams that holds the spiral together, they must use some oils or greases in their machines, which gets on the pipe and the fittings. So it's a very good idea to clean those fittings off with something like naphtha or mineral spirits so that the silicone will seal better and hold better. I will tell you that if you need to take any of these joints apart after the silicone has had time to cure, you're not going to be happy. I had to take 2 of them apart. It was extremely difficult, and I wound up using like a painter's 5-in-1 tool and got it up in between the pipe and the fitting, and was able to finally break the silicone seal and get the thing back apart. It was very, very difficult, and of course getting all the semi-dried, gooey silicone off was also not my idea. A super great time. So the other thing that I learned is hanging the ductwork in the air, and I'll give you a tour of how we've installed it here. It goes up across the ceiling and back down this wall behind me. Hanging it in the air is not difficult. I chose to buy the strap hangers that that Air Handling Systems sells. It's essentially just a little strap with a bolt on either side. And what I did was I used a conduit, like a metal conduit, electrician's metal conduit hanger, which worked really well to bolt through and hold one side of that hanger bracket that we purchased. The part that is difficult about hanging the pipe in the air is that any joints that you have to make up in the air are extremely, extremely difficult, especially if you're kind of in the middle of your ceiling, nothing around to kind of lean against or brace off of or get some leverage off of, because the fit between the pipe and the fittings, or even if you're going pipe to pipe, they sell a coupling which is the size of the fitting. The fit is super, super tight, and on the 6-inch ductwork, which is the largest I installed, I had to make a couple of joints in the air, and it would have been much, much easier if I had something to lean against or pry against, or at least get some leverage against. So plan that out, and plan any joints that do need to be made up in the air, plan them near a wall or near a column in your shop or in your garage or wherever you're putting this stuff, so that you don't have as much trouble, and if you're high in the air on a ladder, so that you can be safe. Two other tips that I believe will help if you choose, at least if you choose this system, are as follows. One of the things that inevitably is going to happen is some of the pipe that comes in your shipment is probably going to be a little disformed, malformed on the ends. Mine came UPS. UPS is just not a gentle company. So some of the pipes had dents on the circumference, which I was able to take out with just this soft mallet against a piece of scrap wood. That worked fine. Some of them that were oblonged and kind of permanently oblonged, what I did was I took one of my parallel clamps and along the large radius and clamped it down and squeezed it down past round in the opposite direction a number of times until I got it to at least get a lot more round than it was. The other thing that I would recommend, if you have to go fitting to fitting, obviously they don't go together because they're the same diameter. You can choose to cut a short piece of pipe, even shorter than this obviously, and put the two fittings together so where they're essentially fitting to fitting and there's just enough pipe in between them to couple them together. That's sort of a big hassle. Initially I thought that I'd have plenty of little scraps and drop pieces and things like that, and I really didn't. I don't know if that's because I was lucky or I planned well. Who can say? But they sell a coupler to go fitting to fitting, so it's probably not much different than the pipe itself. Maybe it's not a spiral wound piece. Maybe it's more like this pipe coupling. This is intended to go pipe to pipe. I did buy a number of those. I did not buy any fitting to fitting couplers, and I would recommend you do, because it's not worth the hassle of trying to cut all those little pieces. Cutting the pipe is pretty heavy gauge. The smaller diameter pipes, I believe, were 24 gauge, and the 6-inch pipe was 20 gauge. It's heavy pipe. So I would buy the couplings. If you do have to go fitting to fitting anywhere in your arrangement, it's worth it. They're not very expensive, and of course buy the pipe couplings if you need a length of pipe that's more than 5 foot, you're going to need a pipe coupling. So that's it. Next we'll give you a little tour to see how we installed the duct here, and show a few more details about what the inside of the pipe looks like, and wrap it up. It's probably a good idea to show you what the inside of the pipe looks like. And you can see where the spiral is formed. It's visible, but I can just barely catch it with my fingernail. It's pretty darn smooth. And I don't know what all these little, I would almost call them like little pock marks are. Maybe that's something that happens in their machining or tooling process as they spiral this pipe together. They're noticeable, but again, you can just barely feel them. So I'll take you on a quick tour. We're making an effort to do out with the old and in with the new. Here's our new Harvey dust processor. Here's the old Harbor Freight unit, which will be going away or repurposed in some way. We're going to have a flex connection at the very end. We pick up our 6-inch spiral wound pipe, connection to the shaper, connection to the table saw, kind of on the other side, you can't see it. Then up, across the ceiling. We put in a lateral to make the turn with a cap for future use. And then across, down to the jointer, 4-inch, 5-inch down to the planer, and then our 4-inch connection over to the new bandsaw, which hasn't arrived yet. And there you go. So good luck with your war on dust. We all want to have our shops cleaner. We want to have our air cleaner. The very, very fine dust that escapes these machines is of course not good for you and not good for your lungs. You don't want to breathe it. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful, if you think that you might be interested in the spiral wound duct. If you have any more questions about it, I'd be happy to let you know what I think and lend any more information that might be useful. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.